Hi everyone, it's me, Callie Alton, back with another book review here on YouTube. Um, the book I will be reviewing for this book review series is Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. Here it is. If you can't see that, I'm sorry, I'm pretty far away. Okay, yeah, here. Here's what here. If you can't see that far away, I'm sorry. Anyway, like I said, I will be reviewing Island Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell, and this is a pretty interesting book. It's very spiritual. It's says back on here there's like a lot of courage, serenity, and great spirit, which basically I was going to try saying, but for you guys who don't really know much about this book, the book is based off historical facts that took place over I think 100 years ago or so, back when the Indians lived in the missions along the California coast. If you don't know that, if you don't live in California, then I'm sure at some point, when you were going to school or you were currently still in school, you might have heard about the 21 missions of the California coast. And so, like I said, this story kind of takes place around that timeline of when the Indians lived in California missions. But this story doesn't exactly take place in the California missions. It takes place in the period of the California missions, when the Indians were living in them, but along with, I think the Spanish, I believe. I don't know. It's been a really long time since I learned about the missions, but anyway, like I was saying, this book doesn't exactly, it takes place in the time period of when the missions were around and where the Indians people were still living in the missions, but it takes place on an island called San Nicolas Island, also known as Island of the Blue Dolphins. And the reason why the island's called Island of the Blue Dolphins is because the dolphins that live around the island are the color of almost looking like the blue. And the island is, of course, shaped like a dolphin. So that is why it's called Island of the Dolphins. There are creatures like seagulls and sea otters that live on the island too, but that's not the point. I'm just giving you a little backstory on St. Nicholas Island, because I wanted to make sure that people who have not read this book kind of know a little history about it, so they kind of, know a little bit about the island before I go and review this book. So anyway, on to the main story of this book. This book is about Karana, who is a Indian girl living on an island with her tribe, and on the island, surviving, collecting seafood, abalone, and stuff that you would find on an island if you were gonna live on it and survive, seafood and fishing along the coast and everything, and stuff like that if you were going to survive on an island for a really long time. And of course, she lives with like I said, her Indian tribe along with her older sister and younger brother named Ramo. I think her older sister is called Yupe. I think that's how you pronounce it, but I don't know. They go into how you pronounce the names, but anyway, yeah. And so her older sister and younger brother and herself are the children of the tribe's leader, who takes care of the long-haul drive and everything. And so, like I said, she's around, I think, 12 years old, I think, at the beginning of this book, when this book starts. And, when this book starts, she's, she like I said, she's 12 years old, and basically at the beginning of this book, she's out gathering food with her younger brother Emma, who's like half her age. She was like 6 years old, 6 years old, and one day her brother spots. Not one day, but like the day they were collecting seafood, her brother spots a Russian Aleut ship, because Aleuts, I believe, were hunters, I think, or traders, or something like that. Sorry about that. That said, I have low battery, but anyway, like I said, they spot a Aleut ship, and her brother, basically, I think, goes back to warn the others that a ship has come, so I think he goes back, and of course, Kohana also spots the ship, but she's curious about them, and she goes into describing that her father had mentioned them before to her, growing up, of how, the Aleuts have come to the island before and hunted the sea otter, many years before that, and had killed the sea otters for, the pelts for trading and stuff. This was, quite some time, I think, before, laws were passed for not hunting sea otter, but anyway, yeah. Corona, watches from, the cliffs that overlook the beach, where the Aleuts where some of the Aleuts land on the shore of the island, and where, her father and the rest of the, the tribe are waiting, for them to, land, and of course, then, of course, she witnesses her father and the captain of the Aleuts, negotiate, what's going on, with, the Aleuts coming to the island, and the captain of the Aleuts, explains that he wants to also hunt sea otter as well, and that, I think he mentions that he, knows about, the other Aleuts coming to the island and hunting the sea otter too. But he said that he wasn't going to, try to nearly kill them all. He was just going to, some, and then, he was going and then take some of the sea otters, kill them, and, sell the pelts. And, anyway, of course, in the story, Koana also mentions that they go by, two names, as well. They have, one secret name that they tell to strangers, outsiders that aren't native to the island. And then they keep their real names secret. So, that basically explains it. But her father, ends up telling the captain, his real name. And she doesn't know why he did that. And so, yeah, anyway, it's not really much. I know it's kind of a boring story, and I know I'm not getting anywhere with, this whole story. Promise me, this kind of projects, the beginning of the story. Don't worry, I will get further into it. So, anyway, over the course, I'll set the book down, so anyway, over the course of, next, few days, the Indians are watching the Aleuts, and I think the Aleuts, also made themselves aware that they are watching the Indians too. But anyway, yeah, they keep a watchful eye on each other and everything, and I forgot to mention this, but the Aleuts do promise, the Indian tribe that they, in return for, hunting the sea otter, they will, in return, give the Indian tribe, bead necklaces, treasures, that you would trade off to if you were a merchant. But, anyway, yeah, they promised that. And so, like I said, over the next few days, they, are watching each other. And so one day, the Indians had gathered, a whole bunch of fish that they had hunted. And so, the Aleuts get really upset that, that the Indians hadn't shared any of the fish with them, but the but Corona's father, explains to him that, like, now they only have, like, a certain amount of fish left, but they still, I think, share some of the fish with them, I think, but, like, I mean, it kind of causes an argument between them, and so, basically, I don't know, upsets them a little, but, anyway, yeah, then one day, the Lutes decide to leave without, holding up their end of the bargain of what they were supposed to do on the island and everything, and so, it kind of, and of course Queen is watching all of this from on the cliffs that overlook the beach, and of course, like, like, a lot of the tribe is there watching them as well, and so basically, a little argument breaks out, which leads into, like, a, fight between the natives of the island and, the Lutes, and so, like, half the men of the native people of the island are killed, and I think and some of the Lutes are killed too in the process. So basically, the Lutes leave, leaving, I think, a couple chests behind, and so eventually, the woman buried, everyone buries, like, the dead, including the Lutes, and some of the dogs that the Lutes had brought with them on the ship have ended up turning wild, and ended up joining the wild dog pack that lives on the island with the natives, and so, like, eventually there's a temporary leader that is leading the tribe, because Ramo, of course, like I said, is 6 years old. He can't lead the clan. He can't, like, lead the clan because he's not old enough yet, and of course isn't, like, trained in, like, holding a weapon or anything like that yet. Anything. Because, of course, like I said, he's still way too young to be leading a tribe, and his two older sisters can't lead the tribe because, because Karina does mention that women can't make spears, and there's certain jobs women have to do in the clan, and, like, men have to. It gets explained, why, but anyway, like I said, a temporary leader takes over, and so eventually, the tribe go back to their normal lives, but they can't. So one day, the temporary leader decides to go to, like, the east and go send for help. I believe that was the reason why, or something. It was something, I think, that involved getting help. But anyway, yeah, he gets help by riding his canoe across the sea to the east to get help. And so he doesn't come back for, like, a really long time, so everyone gets worried. But then one day, a ship arrives, saying that they were sent by their, temporary leader to come and fetch them, to help them get to the east with to where their temporary leader was. And so basically, they all pack and they all gather, and of course, Corona's younger brother Ramo forgets his spear and goes back to his spear, but Corona didn't want him to go back to his spear because the ship was gonna, of course, leave without him if he didn't, stay with everyone and get on the ship. And so basically, she thought, oh yeah, he went on ahead and one of the other boats with, the people who are going on the ship before her, and so she gets on, she doesn't see her brother, she asks where he was, and basically, she just goes, he's still on the island. He had run up to the cliffs to say, hey, wait for me, but then she decides to jump into the ocean to swim back to the island to go get him. And so basically, she swims back to the island after jumping overboard, and, swim back to the island, and so basically, her and her brother just standing, like, on the beach, just watching the ship leave. And so basically, her brother asks, is the ship coming back to get us? And Kuna's like, yeah, they must come back to get us. Because a storm was coming, and they couldn't, like, go back to their brother, else they would have been stuck. and would have like capsized and everything. So like they couldn't like go back for Koana and her brother Ammo. So anyway, yeah, her and her brother are stuck on the island, and now must wait until the ship comes back. So they gather abalone and they have like canoes just in case they want to go and travel to the east, to catch up the ship or something. But they don't. They don't go on the canoe and try to catch up to the ship. They just wait on the island, and stay in the village. But one day, her brother pretends he's the chief of that village. But anyway, one day Karina discovers that her brother Ammo is gone, and so she looks all over for him. She can't find him, and so she eventually hears I think it was some kind of barking, I believe, or something that makes her find her brother Ammo in the center of wild dogs, circling him. And she thought for a second, he was hurt, but then she gets closer and she discovers that he had been killed by the wild pack of dogs, and that his spirit was broken. Because he had tried to, I think, pull a canoe out, because I think he was going to try to sail to the east. And so she eventually fends off our dogs and makes them go away, and enough to the point of where, she could pick up her brother and carry him back and bury him. And so basically she buries him, and she pledges to kill all the wild dogs, for what they did to Ammo and to the, for them stealing the food from her people and everything. So basically she burns the huts and everything, and eventually, decides to sleep on the cliff because she can't go back to the village. So she sleeps there for the night, and then from there it kind of takes a place of where she's building her own hut and everything, and building a fence out of whalebone, and eventually she gets hurt after witnessing some I think it was sea lions or something. It was some sea lion relative or something that makes her get injured. So she heals her. She eventually recovers, and eventually, one day she sees a dog bigger than the rest that she believes had once belonged to the Aleuts. And so basically, she eventually, kills a few dogs and eventually injures the leader. Like I said, that was bigger than the rest. It had yellow eyes, like a fox's, and it was a gray color. And basically, she was gonna kill it, but didn't kill the leader. So she takes care of it. It recovers, and she names it Rontu, which she tells in the story that it means fox eyes in her language. And from then on, she eventually tames Rontu, and from then on, he kind of becomes a companion. And over the course of the next 18 years, she lives on the island by herself, and Rontu eventually dies, and and stuff, and she eventually has to fight an earthquake, a tsunami, killed a squid, met a loot girl who she befriends, but the loot girl leaves, and and so basically she also took care of some seagulls, and raised seagulls, and kept some seagulls as pets, and she took care of otters, and raised a family of sea otters, and she got a new dog that looked exactly like a dog that had died in a previous summer that she named Rontu Aru, which means son of Rontu. And so basically, one day a ship comes and she gets found on the island, and by then she's late 20s to early 30s by then. And so basically, she finally gets sent on a boat with a dog and her birds and her stuff, and finally leaves the island and lives in a mission, and dies like about a week later. But her skirt is like at a museum, so there's that. But I really enjoyed it. Oh, gotta go. Hang on, guys. Yeah? Sure. Sorry about that, guys. My mom was just calling me. So anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed this book. Really liked it. It's a good read. I would really recommend it for, people who want to read it. I mean, it's good for 4th graders and people above the 4th grade level. Really good. Check it out. Really good. It's a really good read if you want to read it and stuff like that. I know this book review was really long, because there's so much to explain in this really thin book that I can like go over and miss, because there's so much history to it. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, have a good read, and yeah, see you guys next time.